Good morning, I'm Helen Phillips and I'm the Chair of the Trust, and I'm joined today by Veitch, who's our Chief Operating Officer, and Anthony Kenney, who's led the development of our new emergency department. So we're looking forward to telling you a little bit in our conversation today about what's transpired at our last board meeting and also what's in store in terms of us having a fabulous new facility for the community of Chesterfield. So I might kick off, Michelle, if it's okay with you, about just your impressions of board. If you were to reflect on the various discussions we had, what would the kind of top three items be for you, really?
Thanks, Helen, and hello, colleagues. Lovely to be here today with you. So I think the hardest ask of that, Helen, is to reserve it to just three things to talk about. It was a fantastic board, and I think actually we covered a significant number of really challenging and informative topics. But if I had to narrow it down to three, I think my first would be the staff story. So hearing from our colleague Heidi in terms of the journey that we've been on as an organisation in terms of our stroke pathway. And that was just fantastic to have a colleague so involved in that service being there and being able to walk us through that journey. And I guess the highlight for me of that was around how we are approaching some of our current workforce challenges in developing a blended workforce approach. And hearing about that and its applicability to perhaps some of our other services where we might be struggling in terms of our workforce. I think also being able to understand that this is a service that spans both physical health and mental health requirements and some of the work that we're doing in that space. So it was fantastic to hear all about that. I think the second highlight that I would talk about would be in conjunction to our staff survey and also the presentation that we received from the Managing Director, Daniel, for the survey. And I guess the key highlights for me in respect of that was 118 organisations took part in that staff survey, of which 62 of them were either acute or acute community providers like ourselves, and just how well we performance managed against those targets and how well we came out. And I think you reflected on a chat with the chair around us being 7th in the country in terms of our results. But more so than that for me was the real palpable appetite of the board to go further and to do better. So we were really interested in the areas that either we didn't score as highly as some of our peers, or you really encouraged us to think about where we may have not performed as well as in previous years. And we all took away a real commitment, I think, to start to look at those areas and look at what we can do and get under the skin of the results and what we can do with colleagues to address some of those issues. So for me, that was absolutely fantastic, and linking that with the presentation that we got in terms of our people plan for 2023 to 2026, and really thinking about the 5 pillars within that. So leadership, learning culture, inclusion for all, team CRH, and growing for the future. So I think that sense of we're doing really well, but there's actually more to do. And that was really exciting to be part of an exec team and a full board that's really kind of grasping that nettle and moving that work forward. And then I guess my third highlight would be some of the updates that came out of the Chief Exec's report, and more focused on some of the new developments that we've got as part of our capital plan. So we heard all about our new health and wellbeing hub, and that's due to open on the 5th of July. And I was just blown away really by some of the provision that we are hoping to put in place for our really valued and really important staff groups, and some of the work that we want to do about making sure that we look after our staff as well as we possibly can. And then the next development, which I'm incredibly excited about, is the new emergency department that we're getting, which is opening shortly. And I know you would like to obviously talk to Anthony a bit more about that.
Thanks, Michelle. Anthony, I've had the great pleasure of seeing the new department at various points in its kind of build. And it's very rare that a board's getting a report that we've not only come in before time but under budget. And that's in the context of the real joy people are expressing about having a fit for purpose facility, and something that's going to last this community for years to come. And I don't know about you, but I for one am delighted that we're this close to the opening, not least of all given the wider pressures on NHS budgets. So I think we've been very fortunate to secure a facility of this standard, with all the other pressures there are on NHS finances. But if you'd give us a flavour of what it's involved and working with colleagues to get exactly the right layout and approach, because it's not just about a building, is it? It's about a whole new way of working, and I know you've been very thoughtful about the way you've gone about that.
I think it's really well. Thank you. And so I'm Anthony Kenney. I'm the programme director for the new build ED. I think one of the things, just to touch on the health and wellbeing, I think one of the things that we're most proud of for the build is that we built a whole first floor extension, and with the actual finance situation, we've essentially done that for free with the money that we've saved. So again, we've got lockers, showers, toilets, an appropriate staff room, all those things that we've seen an increase in people applying to the trust to work in ED, and we've seen staff want to work with us, which is really important and feeds into the health and wellbeing hub and us looking after our staff. The whole build has been, since I came in April, not just gone, the April before, we changed the way in which we were doing the project, and we very much did it as a clinically led project. So from the ground up, where we got clinicians in PPE from the start of the organisation of the build to look at how do the rooms get laid out, rather than just being set on an architect drawing, which is what a lot of trusts do and building companies do. We actually said, no, let's place the things where we want them to be placed. How does the room work? And we did that in different stages. So we've got lots of different iterations where we've got to this final point. As you alluded to, we finished early as well. So we finished 3 weeks before, and with linking with Veitch, who's our contracting partner, it's really interesting to say that a lot of the things that I've done with them and things that I've implemented or we've implemented as Team CRH, they've now taken as a business model and moved forward. So using some of this clinical-led approach, some of the different touch points that we've done, because it shows us it works. And the whole build is finished. There's obviously snagging. If anyone's ever bought a new build property, there's a snagging process you go through, but because we finished early, we've had that assurance that that's going ahead. We've had some hiccups along the way, which is, we're quite open and honest about, but they've all been fixed and fixed quickly, which gives me a real reassurance with we've done the right thing and built the building correctly. We're currently going through a programme of orientation, which is visits for all the clinical teams, wider trust, admin teams, etc., which has been received really, really well. 99% of all the deliveries have received as well for the building, and we're not expecting any delays. Again, we've been afforded that benefit because we've just planned so far ahead. And yeah, ultimately, we're due to be open on the 14th of June, and there'll be wider comms that go out around the trust to support that. But I really want to emphasise it's been a real, I think it's a Team CRH, but a Team DSFS linked approach from that collaborative working. We've shown, I suppose, that a public sector capital programme can be successful, and we've shown how we can work with non-public sector organisations such as the wholly owned subsidiary to achieve that, and that's to procurement, IT, capital and estates, and then the clinical teams have engaged. It's been for me, it's been inspirational. I think there's very few things in your career where you can stand and be very proud, and I think that's the thing I'm incredibly proud of, and I say what we've achieved as a trust. And for the people of Chesterfield, we've got a real system beating ED, actually, really at the forefront of what an emergency department should be, and we've got it and we've built it and it works, and yeah, it's something we're really proud of.
Well, I would say, Anthony, and I'd only say it because we're on a podcast and nobody will be able to see your blushes, but we're very proud of you because you have galvanised the team around you, and we will long remember the kind of skill and the collegiate approach you've brought to making what is a really big and fundamental change, and we're very grateful to you. So the grand opening is on the 12th of July, but for all colleagues, not just ones working in ED, I know there's going to be a number of opportunities between now and then for people to come and have a walk around and luxuriate in the terrific new building and meet some of the teams.
It's difficult because I don't want to let people in. No, it's beautiful. Yeah, thank you.
Want to keep it all pristine.
Yeah, pristine.
Well, on that serious note, actually, we were describing the opening as the anti-opening, Not because it's not ready and it won't be working magnificently, but because we want to, get the message across that this is a fabulous facility, state of the art, for the people of Chesterfield. And there will be a team here to look after you with great care and compassion. But we rather hope that you're never going to need to see them. So we need to be careful to get the opening messages out in the right way too, don't we?
I think that's one of the important things, that an ED visit is a once in a lifetime experience. When you come, we're set up to help you. It's not somewhere you should frequent often, and that's probably the message we'd like to get out as well.
Exactly, and we can do that, can't we, by working well and closely with particularly primary care providers across the patch, because if people can get that entry point in an easy and accessible way, it means that they can be signposted to the right place for the right sort of care at the right time. But thank you both. As ever, it's lovely to talk, and I hope for those of you who are listening in that it's given you a little flavour of our board meeting and the very important new build we've got in the context of the wider capital programme, and we'll talk at a future point about the Health and Wellbeing Hub, because I'm sure colleagues will be very interested to hear about everything that's going to provide in the not too distant future. So thank you for listening.